I am invincible from the end of the world. Chapter 1, Crossed. Fuck. Why am I in the coffin? Uncle Cheen, Nok Nima, didn't you say that tomb robbing is safe, and that ghosts and gods are all lies? Boom. 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 Is there anyone? Or a good-hearted ghost? Let me go out and freeze to death. Giggle. Lin Xinghai's upper and lower teeth were shaking from the cold. He felt that the coffin was made of ice, and the chill that emanated went straight to the bone marrow. He shouldn't be greedy for that little money, although Uncle Cheen said that in this ancient tomb, any antique can be sold for hundreds of thousands. But is he someone who is greedy for this little money and will not die? If given a chance to do it all over again, he would definitely. Bring a Colonel Majin with you. Boom. 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 Lin Xinghai knocked on the coffin wall in desperation, although he also understood that doing so was useless, but instead of waiting to die. Crunch. The coffin board was suddenly opened. The light outside was a bit dazzling, making it difficult for him to see what opened the coffin board, but he heard the sound, and it still exploded in his ears like thunder. Nok Nima, the freezing system hasn't been fully released yet. Are you rushing to reincarnate? Lin Xinghai was a little confused. He saw in front of him a heavily armed soldier. Impossible, soldiers should be strong, resolute and reliable. But the person in front of him looked stubborn, and what does the expression, "I want to hit you," on his face mean? However, his attention quickly shifted to the surrounding environment, and he found that he was not sleeping in a cold coffin, but... What the is this thing? It looks so high-tech. And above the sky, that drone is flying around. But why is there still a person standing on the drone? Suddenly, heavy footsteps came from beside him. He turned his head with some difficulty and saw a metal creation passing by his coffin. This is a miniature version of Gundam. Pain. The amount of information was too large. Lin Xinghai was still stunned, and a sudden pain came from his right arm. At some point, this high-tech metal coffin popped out a needle and inserted it into his arm, injecting a red liquid. With the injection of the red liquid, the cold feeling on his body quickly receded. Lin Xinghai, from the Earth Federation, Huagua District, Linhai City, entered refuge number 83 in 2200 AD. In 2210 AD, because the energy of the refuge was almost exhausted, they collectively entered the dormant cabin. I was 21 years old at the time of dormancy, and my genetic rating was B. It has good training value. The instrument on the soldier's wrist projected a screen of light, whispering Lin Xinghai's information. Hey! B-level genetic evaluation, boy, are you interested in coming to our mercenary group to be cannon fodder, ahem, to be a warrior? My name is Roger, and I will cover you when I come. Roger said with enthusiasm on his face expression. Ha! Don't think I didn't hear what you said clearly. Lin Xinghai subconsciously complained, but his attention was all on the other party's words. Is this my profile? Except for the name, none of it is right. And many more. I'm passing through. 200 years from now. Lin Xinghai felt that his mind was full of mucus. He didn't know how he got up, but after vaguely remembering it, he saw a large coffin. Oh no, it should be called a dormant cabin. Then, he followed the mercenary named Roger and boarded a personnel carrier with thick heavy metal baffles. As people continued to come up, the troop carrier soon filled with people. The heavy metal plate closed, the interior lights came on, and then focused on Roger. After Roger put Lin Xinghai on the troop carrier, he didn't leave. He was now the only mercenary in the car. White pigs, let me introduce myself first. My name is Roger. We are about to leave Vault 83. Before that, I will give you an introduction to the situation outside, Roger said. Who's talking about a white pig? Immediately, someone was unhappy, and a strong man with a height of 2 meters stood up and glared at Roger and said. Roger took 2 steps forward, pulled out the pistol on his waist, patted the other party's face, and said contemptuously, "Tell you, and everyone in the car is a white pig. Do you have an opinion?" The strong man was ashamed and angry, but the cold feeling from the gun made him dare not speak. Roger looked around at everyone in the car, and then said slowly, "This is not my personal humiliation to you, but the name of all the survivors of the apocalypse in the outside world, those of you who have been sleeping." Hearing the word apocalypse, many people's faces changed. Is the catastrophe not over yet? Didn't the Earth Federation ask you to come to the rescue? Someone asked at this time, and the voice fluctuated, showing that this person was extremely uneasy. The Earth Federation has disintegrated. Roger's words caused exclamations in the car, while Lin Xinghai continued to look confused. What is the Earth Federation? The catastrophe is over. A year ago, the temperature of the Earth's surface returned to normal, and the floods receded. But the Earth's ecosystem has completely collapsed, and more importantly, countless man-eating monsters have appeared. They are called zombies. Following Roger's remarks, Lin Xinghai gradually understood the cause and effect of the end times. In 2200 AD, the Earth's population was increasing, but resources were decreasing sharply, social conflicts were aroused, and secret frictions between countries continued. Yu reading www.yuukangshu.com. This almost led to the outbreak of World War III. Fortunately, the leaders of various countries were quite restrained, and after sitting down and negotiating, the Earth Federation was finally established. In order to solve the contradictions of various countries, coupled with the maturity of the warp drive technology, they set their goals on the habitable planets in the outer galaxy. But this great migration, which is bound to be recorded in human history, did not take place because the end times broke out. No one knew what was going on. The sudden meteorite rain directly reduced the population of the Earth by 10%. But this is only the beginning of the disaster. The ice and snow at the North and South poles melted, and the sea water poured back, almost submerging all low-altitude cities. Then there is the never-ending tornado sweeping the world, and there is an ice-cold period that lasts for more than 10 years. This is the catastrophe. This kind of natural disaster is almost unstoppable by manpower, so human beings have hid in underground shelters one after another. That's all the people in Vault 83 know. And 3 days after Vault 83 was closed, a never-before-seen creature suddenly appeared and spread across the globe. This kind of monster seems to be composed of blood, and it cannot be killed at all. Even if they are blown to pieces, they can be quickly reorganized. What's even more terrifying is that they also carry terrifying viruses, and all creatures infected by viruses become like walking dead. That's zombies. That's the situation outside. Of course, it's hard for you to have an intuitive feeling from my description, but it doesn't matter. There is still a long way to go to the Star Shield Refuge, which is enough for you white pigs to understand what's going on outside. Roger said with a mocking smile on the corner of his mouth. I am invincible from the end of the world. Chapter 2, System appears. After Roger described the situation outside, there was deathly silence, and then there was an uproar. But because of Roger's presence, the uproar was also somewhat suppressed, and finally turned into the whispers of everyone. As a traveler who didn't understand anything, Lin Xinghai of course raised his ears and eavesdropped on the conversations of these people in order to obtain more information. He soon learned that the numbered shelters like Refuge number 83 were all small shelters and had no combat effectiveness as a whole. And like the Star Shield Refuge they are going to, the one with the name is a medium-sized sanctuary. Medium-sized shelters are not only larger, but also have more internal facilities and even have troops stationed there. It is because of this that they can monitor the outside world and understand so many things. However, Lin Xinghai also overheard this basic information. As for more, it was just some messy speculation. Using the information in his hands, he began to think about the way back. As Roger said, they are really a group of white pigs now. They have no fighting power and can only be slaughtered by others. It is estimated that they will not be much better if they go to the Star Shield Refuge. He was considering whether to accept Roger's invitation to join the other party's mercenary group. Although Lin Xinghai didn't know what kind of organization the mercenary group was, it was obvious that mercenaries could carry guns. If they accepted the invitation of the other party. Wait, when we first met, what did the other party say, inviting him to be cannon fodder? However, he believed that if he went to the other party's mercenary group, he would not really be used as cannon fodder. It was because of his B-level genetic evaluation that he attracted the other party to send an invitation. But now he still has too little information. How much training value does a B-level genetic evaluation have? Is the training method of the other party dangerous? He didn't know anything about these things. I still have to wait and find a chance to set the other party's words. Lin Xinghai silently made a decision in his heart. At this moment, the personnel carrier they were riding in seemed to start, accompanied by the sound of the engine, and a slight tremor of the body. At the same time, the thick alloy walls around the car also opened small windows. These small windows are narrow and long, and they should be shooting ports. The shooting port is narrow, but it is enough for these people in the car to see the situation outside clearly. There are at least more than 100 of these personnel carriers parked outside. In addition to this, there are more than 10 special vehicles. Lin Xinghai narrowed his eyes slightly and looked at it. According to his guess, those were most likely armored vehicles, and the people inside were fully armed and should be real soldiers. His eyes continued to move outwards. From his angle, he could see the whole picture of Vault 83, which was a building similar to a bird's nest. Wait, there seems to be something wrong. Why is this sanctuary so empty? Then the corners of his mouth couldn't help twitching. In the distance, there was a large device, cutting the alloy outer wall of the refuge, where the exposed rock wall could already be seen. No wonder the shelter is so empty, because all the facilities have been demolished, and now even the walls and floors are not spared. In the end times, any resource is precious. Roger suddenly said something when he came to his side. Lin Xinghai was a little silent. The outside world seemed to be more cruel than he imagined. However, he didn't have time to express his emotions, because when the vehicle started, it meant that he had to leave, and the personnel carriers lined up and drove towards the outside of the shelter. After a while, it was their turn to pass the troop carrier. As the vehicle moved, the observation angle changed, and Lin Xinghai finally knew how these people got into the underground shelter. The other party turned out to use a large-scale engineering device to forcibly open up a road that goes directly to the ground. It is the road, not the tunnel, because it is too big. How to describe it? Two-way 6-lane. It is so spacious, Lin Xinghai can only sigh at the rapid development of science and technology. After only 2 or 3 minutes, the vehicle reached the surface. The environment on the surface can only be described in 2 words, desolate. Looking around, they are all dilapidated and collapsed buildings, there is not a shred of green, and no living things can be seen, even the sky is gray. Lin Xinghai felt a little cold as the cold wind poured into the car. Is this the Earth after the catastrophe? The other people in the car behaved even more unbearably. Many people cried directly, and the hope in their eyes turned into despair. After the convoy came to the ground, they formed a defensive formation one by one, and waited in place for another half an hour. The final finishing work was not completed until those huge engineering equipment pulled up a cart of alloy steel. The convoy officially drove to the Star Shield Refuge. Hoo. After just over 10 minutes of driving, everyone could vaguely hear a roar like a beast, but this sound was more infiltrating than the beast. Could it be, is this the roar of zombies? Lin Xinghai immediately had a guess in his heart. The roar is getting closer and closer to the convoy, and the sound is getting louder and louder. It seems to be connected together. If it is really a zombie, then the number will definitely not be small, and it must exceed hundreds of them. When these sounds approached a certain distance, they were immediately covered by a series of machine guns. The gunshots rang for about half a minute. When the gunshots stopped, the roar disappeared. Is it resolved? Someone asked in a low voice. Well. It's solved. Roger nodded, an inexplicable smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. White pigs, it's time for your first lesson. What lesson 1? Seeing Roger's inexplicable smile, many people felt that something was wrong. But Roger did not answer to this. The personnel carrier continued to move forward, and soon arrived at the place where the exchange of fire had just occurred. Before they could see the situation outside, the car stopped and the rear door opened. Not only them, but also the troop carriers that came later. Then one member of the shelter was brought down. Next, I'll take you there. Everyone has to touch those zombies. This is the content of Lesson 1. Roger pointed to a pile of corpses not far away. In fact, there is not much difference between zombies and humans in appearance, that is, the skin is a little pale, and the teeth and nails are extraordinarily long. So when everyone looked in the direction Roger pointed, and saw the corpses, many people vomited out on the spot. The women in the field, in particular, vomited so much. After vomiting, they retreated with pale faces, and didn't even want to look in that direction. Everyone queued up for me to touch the zombies, otherwise. Hey! Then stay here and be with these corpses. Roger's voice sounded again. At this moment, many people thought that this was the whisper of the devil. Lin Xinghai's face was also not good looking, but he knew that people were swordsmen and I was fish. So I can only queue up obediently and follow the team to the nearest corpse. This corpse is still relatively intact, with a small hole in the forehead, which should have been directly pierced through the head by a gun. But what made him feel strange was that there was a wound on the back of the zombie's head. He also found that not only the zombie in front of him, but also the back of the head of the zombies around, there is such a wound. Fix the knife. But why cut the back of the head? Out of curiosity, and also to complete the task of Lesson 1, Lin Xinghai stretched out his hand and touched the wound. Ding! Detected the power of blood energy, did you absorb it? I am invincible from the end of the world Chapter 3, Strength Improvement. Lin Xinghai's arms trembled, not because of fear, nor because of nervousness, but because of excitement. He is also a systematic person. At this time, a translucent light and shadow screen appeared in front of him, with the option of whether to absorb the power of blood energy. Does this still need to be considered? He immediately chose yes. The next moment, Lin Xinghai felt a strange feeling in his arm, as if some kind of energy entered his body through his arm. At the same time, he also discovered that the wound that was oozing blood on the back of the zombie's head had dried up directly. Not only the wound, but the zombie's skin turned pale, as if the blood in the body had been drained. This. Lin Xinghai was taken aback. He pinched the flesh and blood at the wound with his hand, but he really couldn't squeeze out a drop of blood. This power of blood is not the blood in the morning corpse. He had a guess in his heart, and at the same time looked around calmly. Fortunately, no one paid attention to his situation here. After all, the zombie wounds have appeared for a while, and it is normal to stop bleeding now. And the skin of the zombie itself is pale, so it is a little bit whiter, and if you don't stare carefully, you won't be able to notice it. Ding! Congratulations to the host for absorbing 1 point of blood energy, enabling the attribute panel function, and starting the main quest. As the system prompt sounded, the dialog box in front of Lin Xinghai became an attribute panel. Host, Lin Xinghai. Constitution, 7 points. Strength, 7 points. Speed, 9 o'clock. Blood power, 1 point. Degree of genetic optimization, 9%. Could it be that I'm a speed player? Looking at his attribute panel, Lin Xinghai muttered. But there was no one for him to refer to, and he didn't know his basic attributes, whether it was good or bad. So after glancing at the properties panel, I looked at the taskbar below. Main quest, ask the host to collect 10 blood energy. Explanation, the power of blood is the foundation of improving strength, the more the better. Bonus, turn on scouting. Mission progress, 1 out of 10. After reading the task, Lin Xinghai couldn't help showing joy. If he wanted to complete such a task normally, it would not be easy. But now here, zombie corpses are everywhere. When he thought of it, he did it, he stood up quietly, and then walked towards a zombie corpse not far away. This time he studied it, and if he touched other positions of the zombies, the system would not respond. Only when you touch a bleeding wound will a system prompt pop up. It seems to be certain, even if the power of blood is not equal to blood, it must be derived from blood. Open the property panel, task progress, February 10th. Lin Xinghai was immediately full of energy, and soon touched 5 zombies. At this time, the progress of the task had reached July 10th. As long as you touch 3 more zombies, the main quest will be completed. But what he didn't know was that Roger had been watching him secretly. The content of this, Lesson 1, in addition to giving the members of the shelter a disgrace, is also an assessment of the courage of these people. For an organization like the mercenary group that needs to fight against zombies, the courage assessment is even more important. Roger originally intended to recruit Lin Xinghai, so of course he had to take a good look at the courage of the other party. Therefore, when Lin Xinghai took the initiative to line up to touch the zombies, Roger couldn't help but nodded secretly. However, when Lin Xinghai took the initiative to touch the second zombie, the expression on his face became subtle. But Roger didn't expect that this was just the beginning. Next, Lin Xinghai went to touch the zombies around him one after another. He touched one more zombie corpse, and the expression on Roger's face became even more wonderful. This person won't have a necrophilia. And when Lin Xinghai touched the seventh zombie body, Roger finally couldn't help walking over. "What are you doing?" Seeing Roger standing in front of him suddenly, Lin Xinghai was shocked. However, he also expected that his abnormal behavior would likely be noticed by people with a heart, so he said the reason he thought about without changing his face. "I'm a little surprised. These zombies were obviously killed by bullets pierced through their heads, but why did they cut the back of their heads afterwards?" The strange expression on Roger's face suddenly turned into surprise. For the first time touching a zombie, it would be good to be able to maintain a normal mind. But Lin Xinghai not only discovered something unusual, but also took the initiative to seek answers. At this moment, the importance of Lin Xinghai in Roger's heart instantly increased to a new level. Very good. If you want to survive in the apocalypse, insight like yours is essential. As for why you cut the back of the zombie's head, I can also tell you the reason, that is. Don't tell me. Lin Xinghai quickly interrupted, "There is a beginning and an end, I want to find the answer myself." "What a joke, you tell me the answer, what reason do I find to continue touching the corpse?" Roger lagged slightly, showing a look of approval. "You are really better than I thought." Seeing that this level was over, Lin Xinghai breathed a sigh of relief and hurriedly walked to the next corpse. Soon, he touched 3 more zombies. When the task progress reached October 10th, the system sound sounded again. Ding! Congratulations to the host for completing the main task, the exploration function has been opened. In addition, 10 exploration times will be rewarded. Lin Xinghai quickly opened the attribute panel and found that behind the character attributes, there was an additional exploration technique. Exploration: consume the power of blood energy to explore the target's attributes. The higher the target's strength, the more blood energy is consumed. Remarks: the first 10 explorations do not consume blood energy. In addition to one more exploration technique, the main quest has also changed. Main quest: kill 100 zombies. Explanation: the trick is only temporary. To obtain the power of blood, you also need to rely on your own strength. Reward: none. Seeing this quest reward, a black line suddenly appeared on Lin Xinghai's forehead. What is the reward? None. Since there is no reward, why does he have to complete this task? However, he found it painfully that this task had to be done, because he would definitely face the zombies. And if this task is not completed, the subsequent mainline tasks will not be updated, which is the most pitiful. Feeling depressed, I suddenly found that there was another change in the attribute panel. UU reading www.uukangshu.com. Genetic optimization degree, 9% plus. Yes. There is a plus sign after 9%. Lin Xinghai immediately clicked on it. Does it consume 1 point of blood energy to improve the degree of genetic optimization? Lin Xinghai jumped in his heart and quickly chose yes. In the next instant, a warm current appeared out of thin air, filling his body and limbs, making him extremely comfortable. But he didn't have time to enjoy this feeling, and immediately looked at the attribute panel. Host: Lin Xinghai. Constitution: 8 points. Strength: 7 points. Speed: 10 points. Blood power: 9 points. Degree of genetic optimization: 10% plus. Lin Xinghai's face suddenly showed a happy expression. The genetic optimization level increased by 1%, and the physique and speed increased by 1 point. This power of blood is really the foundation for improving strength. After finding a way to improve his strength, Lin Xinghai did not hesitate to add the remaining blood energy to genetic optimization. The warm current that appeared this time was even more terrifying, as if there was a fire burning in his body, but he could also clearly feel that his body was strengthening at a terrifying speed. The property panel in front of me has changed again. Host, Lin Xinghai. Constitution, 15 points. Strength, 13 points. Speed, 19 points. Blood power, 0 points. Degree of genetic optimization, 19% plus. The power of blood qi was cleared, and the genetic optimization level was increased from the initial 9% to 19%. At the same time, various attributes have also been greatly improved. Looking at the three attributes and the different levels of improvement, Lin Xinghai had a thoughtful look on his face. I am invincible from the end of the world chapter 4, join a mercenary group. Lin Xinghai had a lot of guesses about the three different attributes, but he didn't have time to study them now. Because there are already many people, after touching the zombies, they began to return to the personnel carrier. There is not much time left for him to collect the power of blood energy. Putting away the attribute panel, Lin Xinghai quickly hurried to the next zombie corpse, and when he started running, he immediately felt the difference. My speed is too exaggerated. He was able to run out of the speed of the previous full sprint with ease, and even worried that he would be targeted by someone with a heart, he dared not let go of the speed to run. The increase in speed also made Lin Xinghai collect blood energy faster, and finally collected 13 blood energy. At this time, there were very few people still here, and in order not to attract the attention of others, he could only return to the troop carrier. How? Did you find the reason? As soon as Lin Xinghai sat down, Roger sat next to him and asked. There is a guess. Lin Xinghai said after hesitating for a while, the wound on the back of the head should not be a patch, because the wound is not deep, and more importantly, the wound was cut, not stabbed directly. It doesn't seem reasonable. Of course, the most important thing is that I restored the flesh and blood, and found that the flesh and blood there seemed to be missing a piece. If I guessed correctly, there should be something on the back of these zombies' heads, and they were taken away. After Lin Xinghai finished speaking, he looked at Roger. He was not talking nonsense, but had really carefully observed it. The look of surprise on Roger's face flashed away, and he nodded, yes, that's Yuan Jing, a crystal that contains special energy. After being silent for a while, Roger continued, now that you have seen the situation outside, you already know something about the situation in the end times. Let me ask you again, are you willing to join my mercenary group? Can I ask, are there any benefits after joining the mercenary group? Lin Xinghai asked. Seeing that Lin Xinghai finally moved, Roger smiled and said, there are many people here, so let's find a place with fewer people to chat. Lin Xinghai glanced around, everyone pricked up their ears and glanced at them from time to time, this is indeed not a suitable place for conversation. But the question is, where are there less people in the car? However, Roger said that he had already stood up, and he could only quickly follow. Coming near the front of the car, Roger tapped the alloy steel plate twice. Crunch. Under the action of the pneumatic device, the alloy steel plate, which was originally tightly seamed, slowly opened, revealing a small door, which could lead directly to the cab. Following Roger bent over and walked in, Lin Xinghai found that the space in the cab was quite large, more than enough to accommodate 5 or 6 people. After saying hello to the soldiers driving the troop carrier, Roger and Lin Xinghai came to the corner and sat down. Let me introduce first, our mercenary group is called the Splitting Sky Mercenary Group. It is a first-level mercenary group registered in the Mercenary Guild. Among the hundreds of mercenary groups in the shelter, it is probably in the middle. With your B-level genetic evaluation, you can get 100 points a week as a reward for joining our mercenary group. Points. Lin Xinghai interjected and asked. Roger explained, points are equivalent to currency. Everything in the shelter is purchased with points. The reward of 100 points a week is definitely higher than any normal job. And this is only temporary. If you can become a genetic optimizer, you will be paid at least 150 points a week. Gene optimizer. Lin Xinghai's heart skipped a beat, he vaguely felt that it had a lot to do with the degree of genetic optimization in the system panel. Yeah. Roger seemed to have known that Lin Xinghai would ask such a question for a long time, and immediately explained, this starts with our genetic engineering. In the 20th century, human beings' research on their own genes has not stopped, but for more than 200 years there has been no major breakthrough until the emergence of Yuanjing. There is a special kind of energy inside the crystal. Although we can't directly absorb this kind of energy, after special treatment, we can make it into a genetic medicine to optimize the genes in our body. When the genetic optimization of the human body reaches 30%, it will be like breaking through a shackle, the strength will be greatly improved, and there will even be a small probability that some special abilities will appear. So we also refer to people whose genes are more than 30% optimized as genetic optimizers. If you join our sky-splitting mercenary group, you will be given a certain share of genetic medicine every week according to your talent to help you become a genetic optimizer as soon as possible. After listening to Roger's explanation, Lin Xinghai's pupils shrank slightly, but he was relieved quickly, and a smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. He is systematic, and now the degree of genetic optimization has reached 19%. What's more, he still has 13 points of blood energy to use. If he wants to become a genetic optimizer, this is a matter of minutes. However, with such a rapid increase in his strength, he definitely needs some cover-up, so joining the sky-splitting mercenary group is undoubtedly a good choice. If I choose to join your mercenary group, how do you plan to train me? Especially genetic medicine, how much share can I get each week? Lin Xinghai asked. Although he has a system, genetic medicine is a good thing at first glance, of course, he has to fight for himself more. Seeing that Lin Xinghai was finally moved, Roger said with a smile on his face, 3 bottles, I can get you 3 bottles of genetic medicine every week. 3 bottles are so few. Why should I have 20 or 30 bottles of my B-level genetic rating? Lin Xinghai immediately charged the sky. As soon as he said these words, Roger's face suddenly darkened, and even the soldier who had been concentrating on driving gave Lin Xinghai a strange look. Do you know how many bottles of genetic medicine can a new member of the mercenary group have in a week? 1 bottle. Even if it is an official mercenary group member, there are only 2 bottles a week. Even with my strength and the subsidy of the captain's position, there are only 6 bottles of genetic medicine a week. You still want 20 or 30 bottles, and I can give you 3 bottles. I have to be shameless and apply to the head of the regiment. Roger said with strong anger. When Lin Xinghai heard it, he couldn't help but be surprised. If that's the case, then the treatment given to him by the sky-splitting mercenary group seems to be too high. With a slight movement in his heart, he called up the system panel, and then used the exploration technique on Roger. Name, Roger. Constitution, 50. Strength, 65. Speed, 43. Ability, Giant Strength. Within 3 seconds, the strength of Yu reading www.yuukangshu.com increases by 30%. Degree of genetic optimization, 65%. This strength is much higher than I guessed. And even the supernatural powers are awakened. But the opponent's strength can only be distributed 6 bottles of genetic medicine a week, that can only explain. Thinking of this, the corners of Xinghai's mouth turned up slightly. Captain Luo, you shouldn't have a B grade in your genetic evaluation, right? Roger's annoyed expression faltered slightly. After getting the answer from the other party's face, Lin Xinghai continued, then my B-level genetic evaluation should be of great value. If I spread it out, then other mercenary groups. Lin Xinghai didn't continue talking, just smiled at Roger. You can choose to come to the military if you have a talent with a B-level genetic assessment. It is safer than joining a mercenary group. It is also 3 bottles of genetic medicine every week. The soldier who had been driving silently suddenly said. Roger's face turned even darker. If he had known this, he might as well stay in the carriage and talk to Lin Xinghai. 4 bottles of genetic medicine a week, this is my limit. In addition, I have a request. Within a month, the speed of your strength improvement must be worthy of your talent. Otherwise, a maximum of 3 bottles of genetic medicine a week. Roger could only reopen the conditions. Yes. But if I increase my strength faster than you can imagine, what about this genetic medicine? Lin Xinghai laughed. Roger's eyes narrowed slightly, but remembering Lin Xinghai's previous attitude of touching zombies, he suddenly laughed. "You're so bold, I hope you don't say it with your mouth. If that kind of thing really happened, our sky-splitting mercenary group will definitely. I won't treat you badly. I am Invincible from the End of the World Chapter 5, arrive at Star Shield Refuge." After confirming to join the Split Sky mercenary group, Lin Xinghai and Roger chatted for a while before returning to the trunk. Although the conversation between the two was short, it was enough to give Lin Xinghai a general understanding of the sky-splitting mercenary group. There are a total of 35 people in the Split Sky mercenary group, and the positions are also very simple. Head, deputy head, and then 3 captains. Roger is one of them. It can be said that there are only 2 people on Roger. This is also the reason why Roger dared to say that he was covering Lin Xinghai when he first invited him to meet. He did have such confidence. For such a situation, Lin Xinghai is of course happy. With Roger here, at least there will be no things like being harassed by the old members. Sitting back in his seat again, Lin Xinghai noticed that these people in the car were all looking at him with strange colors. But it's normal to think about it. After taking Lesson 1, these people have some understanding of the cruelty of the end times. It is estimated that they are all worried, afraid and other negative emotions now, worrying about the future. However, Lin Xinghai, who was also in refuge number 83, had a relationship with the mercenary in a blink of an eye. How could these people have no idea in their hearts? In particular, some of the women in the car had other thoughts and secretly greeted Lin Xinghai. But Lin Xinghai completely turned a blind eye to everyone's fiery or searching gazes, and closed his eyes to rest after sitting down. Of course, in reality, he was looking at the system panel. Looking at his own panel data and recalling Roger's data, he was almost certain that everyone's attributes were biased. He is for speed, Roger is for power. This kind of attribute bias, which is better or worse, he still does not know for the time being. However, it is right to improve the degree of genetic optimization of oneself, and the whole can be improved anyway. Thinking of this, he clicked the plus sign after the genetic optimization degree. After deducting 1 point of blood energy, a special energy filled his limbs and bones again, making him feel very comfortable, as if the whole person was about to sublimate. What he has time now is that until the comfort completely disappears, he slowly clicks the plus sign again. Ding! Do you spend 2 points of blood energy to improve the degree of genetic optimization? Looking at the system prompt that popped up, Lin Xinghai's expression changed immediately. How come the power of blood has suddenly increased? His face was not very good looking, because this meant that the plan to directly become a genetic optimizer was shattered. And he thinks more, will the power of blood expend more and more as the degree of genetic optimization improves? Hey, it seems that even if there is a system, it is not so easy to improve your strength. Lin Xinghai sighed in his heart. Of course, if his words were heard by other genetic optimizers, he would probably have his heart pumped to death. Generally speaking, a person with a genetic rating of D or E who wants to become a genetic optimizer will not even think about it for a year or a half. Lin Xinghai used up all the remaining 12 points of blood energy, and the genetic optimization level increased to 26%. Host, Lin Xinghai. Physique, 21 points. Strength, 18 points. Speed, 26 points. Blood power, 0 points. Degree of genetic optimization, 26%. My strength attribute is the weakest, will the attack power be weak? Looking at his attribute panel, Lin Xinghai couldn't help but muttered. Of course, this is not something he can change. After turning off the panel system, he really closed his eyes and rested. The convoy moved fast. Lin Xinghai thought that the journey would end soon, but he didn't expect that it would take 5 hours to start. On the way, they encountered dozens of waves of zombies, large and small, but unfortunately, the team continued to move forward after eliminating the zombies, and there was no intention to stop at all. This made Lin Xinghai regretful, otherwise he would have gained a lot of blood energy. Finally, the convoy came to the foot of a bare mountain, which lifted the defensive formation and drove along the road into the tunnel. The walls inside the tunnel are all made of alloy casting, and every 50 meters of the tunnel there is a bunker as a fortification. The entire tunnel is no more than 200 meters long, and at the end of the tunnel, there is an alloy gate with a thickness of 1 meter. Entering the door, there is a rectangular hall with dozens of elevators lined up around the hall. These elevators are large and small, and even the smallest ones can hold up to 30 people at a time. As for the largest elevator, walking in is like entering an alloy house with hundreds of square meters, which really opened Lin Xinghai's eyes. This super-large elevator can even transport 3 personnel carriers at one time. The elevator stopped 300 meters underground. This is the real location of the Star Shield Refuge. It's no wonder that in the environment of the end of the world, humans can survive safely. Standing on the alloy ground, Lin Xinghai couldn't help muttering. You take these things first. I'll report the matter of joining the group later. When it's done, I'll come to you again. Roger said, and handed over a bag. Lin Xinghai took it and glanced inside. There weren't many things inside, just 4 bottles of light green potions and a badge. This is. Although Lin Xinghai had some guesses in his heart, he couldn't help but ask. The 4 bottles of genetic medicine are the ones I paid you first. Those are the badges of our mercenary group. You can directly show the badges when you encounter anything. In the lower area, no one dares to provoke a mercenary. Okay, I'll go first, don't be lazy, try to become a genetic optimizer and enter the middle-level area as soon as possible. Roger said, patted Lin Xinghai on the shoulder, and turned away. Holding the bag in his hand, Lin Xinghai felt a slight warmth in his heart. If according to the normal process, he first joins the mercenary group, goes through the test, and then distributes the genetic medicine, then he will have to wait at least 2 or 3 days. And genetic medicine, of course, the sooner you take it, the better. After all, it takes time to absorb genetic medicine. According to Roger's description, with my B-level genetic evaluation and high-intensity training, I can absorb a bottle of genetic potion within 2 days. In this case, before performing the first mercenary mission, I should be able to become a genetic optimizer. Lin Xinghai smiled. The time to absorb genetic medicine is different for everyone. The higher the genetic evaluation level, the faster the absorption of genetic medicine, and the better the absorption effect. In addition, high-intensity training can also speed up this process. Lin Xinghai put away the bag, and then followed the flow of people towards the meeting point. I am Invincible from the End of the World Chapter 6, Beautiful Roommate. During the process of entering the shelter, Roger told Lin Xinghai a lot of things. In addition to the genetic medicine, there was also general information about the shelter. The entire Star Shield Refuge is divided into upper, middle and lower floors, but most people can only live in the lower area. If you want to live in the middle class, you have to be a genetic optimizer. As for the upper area, it is the place where the management of the shelter and the strong live. Of course, those who have just been rescued like them can only stay in the lower area. At this time, the administrator of the lower area had arrived and took over the work of the army. Under the greeting of the security team, everyone lined up in columns after getting off the car, and then followed. The area of the lower area is about 200,000 square meters, but according to Roger's description, there are also a lot of people living here, already more than 150,000, so the population is not generally dense. And as he moved forward, Lin Xinghai discovered that this lower area was even more unbearable than what Roger had described. There is no plan, the streets are scattered, and the houses are crowded together to save space, giving people the feeling of chaos. More than 80% of the pedestrians on the street have yellow faces and thin skin, and their clothes are quite dirty. When they approach, they will smell a stench. It should be that they have not showered for many days. It's almost like a refugee zone. Lin Xinghai couldn't help sighing. But he also understands that this is impossible, and in the final analysis it is a problem of lack of resources. Thinking of the desolate scene outside the surface, it is a miracle that the Star Shield Refuge can support so many people. After advancing for about 15 minutes, the team stopped, and what appeared in front of everyone was a dilapidated building. At this time, some residents were coming out of these buildings with their luggage. Most of these people's eyes were numb, and then they left in a hurry under the whistle of the patrol team. At this time, an administrator in front of the team walked up to the steps with a loudspeaker and said loudly, "Hello everyone, let me introduce myself first, my name is Jiyuan." As you can see, this area is a temporary area. Make room for you to live. There was a commotion in the field, because these buildings are not ordinary dilapidated, and many parts of the outer wall surface have fallen off. They all doubt whether people can live here. So some people started to protest. The protest was only a few people at first, but gradually became louder and louder. Ji Yuan stood on the steps with a smile on his face. After he raised his hand to signal everyone to be quiet, he continued, "You think the exterior of these buildings is very shabby, right? Don't worry, the inside of the buildings will only get more shabby." Whoa! The commotion suddenly escalated into an uproar, and many people wondered if their ears had heard it wrong. The interior will only be more shabby? Reassure us. Listen, is this still human? Ji Yuan didn't seem to see the reaction of the crowd at all, and even the smile on his face didn't change. "I know you have a lot to say in your heart, but please listen to me first." He cleared his throat and suddenly roared, "I can't stop loving, I can't stop getting out of here." The field was quiet. At this time, Ji Yuan's smile has completely disappeared, and it is replaced by seriousness. The resources here are limited, and there is no support for idlers and waste. If you want to eat well and live well, then show your ability well, earn points, just move out of here. After he finished speaking, he gestured to the side, and immediately a staff member came out, and then distributed sheets of paper full of content. Let's not waste time. Everything I want to tell you is written on this piece of paper. You can read it when you have time. The buildings behind me are all group dormitories for 6 people. You can find someone you know to live with. If you can't find it, we will arrange it later. Now, I will give you 10 minutes. Ji Yuan finished. Looking at the time on the watch, he stood quietly. Ji Yuan didn't say much, but each sentence contained a huge amount of information, which made many people a little confused. But these people had to act. The situation is bad enough, and if they also arrange to live with strangers, they can't imagine it. At this time, Lin Xinghai seemed to be an outsider. He put his hands in his pockets quite calmly and stood there. The Split Sky mercenary group will arrange accommodation for the official members, and it is still in the middle-level area, but the only trouble is that you need to become a genetic optimizer to live in the middle-level area. Becoming a genetic optimizer is a luxury for many people. But for Lin Xinghai, it only took a few days. So he looked around a little bored, waited for the time to end, and then assigned him a dormitory. Ah! Lin Xinghai, I've finally found you. An exclamation sounded from the side. When he turned his head to look, he saw a slim beauty with her beautiful eyes staring at him without blinking. Lin Xinghai didn't react, and at the same time he found that he had overlooked a very serious problem. That is, although he has passed through, he has not inherited the memory of this body. Now, he does not know the name of this beautiful woman. Before Lin Xinghai could figure out how to respond, his hand was pulled by the other party. Follow me. Fuck. Are all women of this era so proactive? Lin Xinghai couldn't help but complained in his heart. But the opponent's hand is really white and soft. Lin Xinghai shook his head to wake himself up. Now is not the time to think about these things, but to think carefully about how to deal with this beauty later without revealing any flaws. Many thoughts circled in his mind, and then they were denied one by one. Finally, Lin Xinghai decided to pretend to have amnesia. While thinking about how to speak more appropriately, the beautiful woman who was pulling her suddenly stopped. The last roommate, I'm here. Pulling Lin Xinghai to a group of people, the beautiful woman announced loudly. In an instant, both Lin Xinghai and the 4 people in front of him were stunned. Because these are all women, Yu reading www.yuyukeungshu.com and also young and beautiful women. Lu Miao Miao, are you crazy? How can you find a man to come back? After the atmosphere in the field was dead silent for a while, the hottest beauty exclaimed first. She immediately pulled Lu Miao Miao aside, and the others followed quickly, leaving only Lin Xinghai standing there awkwardly. Although he was standing in the same place, his genetic optimization has reached 26%, and his body has improved a lot, including his hearing ability, so he can vaguely hear the conversation of a few women not far away. Wang Yao, don't get excited yet. Lu Miaomiao looked at the companions beside her and said seriously, it was after careful consideration to find him. Think about it, now is not the peaceful age of the past, we several beauties are together, what if they are targeted by people who are scheming? So for safety's sake, the best way is of course to hire a bodyguard. Bodyguard, just him? Wang Yao's voice was full of doubts. He doesn't seem to be very strong physically, but when he was a freshman, he won the provincial Sans Ho championship. It would be easy to beat 4 or 5 people against ordinary people. Lu Miaomiao said. This, even if what you said is true, but you are not afraid of bringing wolves into the room? Wang Yao asked another question. Don't worry, he's just a wood. He used to be a figure in our class before. Many girls wanted to post it backwards, and some of them were not much worse than me, but he was indifferent. There were even rumors that his sexual orientation is a problem. So don't worry. Lu Miaomiao assured with a pat on her chest. Lin Xinghai, who was not far away, overheard this, and his face darkened instantly. I am invincible from the end of the world chapter 7, protection fee. In the end, Lu Miaomiao persuaded others to make Lin Xinghai their roommate. The reason why these people can reach an agreement is entirely because Wang Yao asked, what if your old classmate can't help but want to do something bad to us? As Lu Miaomiao blushed and said, he really wants to do something, then the first one should come to me. After this sentence, all disputes came to an end. Looking at the 5 women who came back, Lin Xinghai couldn't help but ask, by the way, you haven't consulted my opinion yet, how can you be sure that I will promise to be your roommate? Yo! Could it be that you also like to live with a few rough guys? Lu Miaomiao raised her eyebrows and said. Lin Xinghai was suddenly choked up, unless he had a problem with his sexual orientation, he really couldn't make that choice. Cough. Lin Xinghai coughed lightly, and after covering up his embarrassment, he quickly said in a serious tone, Lu Miaomiao, I have something very important to tell you. What's wrong? Lu Miaomiao suddenly became nervous. It's like this. After I woke up from the dormant cabin, it seemed that I lost my memory, partial amnesia. Lin Xinghai said bluntly. This was a more reasonable reason he thought of, whether others believed it or not, he believed it anyway. Sure enough, Lu Miaomiao was surprised, is the sleep system malfunctioning? This is very rare. Hearing Lu Miaomiao say this, Lin Xinghai was instantly overjoyed, he was right, there really was such a thing, and he was about to continue the conversation. However, Lu Miaomiao continued, but it's okay, just spend some points to go to the medical cabin and inject the brain cell repair solution. It will be solved. Do you want me to accompany you? Lin Xinghai wanted to scold MMP, is technology developing so fast? No, I feel like my memory is recovering little by little. There's no need to waste precious points. I'm just letting you know about this. Lin Xinghai said. Really? Lu Miaomiao was a little suspicious. It's absolutely true. Lin Xinghai said solemnly. Next, everyone did not continue to struggle with this issue, and Lu Miaomiao introduced the other 4 daughters. The most popular one is called Wang Yao, and Lin Xinghai already knows it. As for the remaining 3, they are named Qin Zixue, Yang Yi, and Shanime. After a few people introduced each other, it was almost time, and the next step was the dormitory allocation. However, before the dormitory is allocated, everyone has to re-verify the information, which is retrieved from the Vault 83 database. After the diagnosis is correct, the information will be entered into the ID card. In addition to the function of an ID card, this ID card is equivalent to a bank card in the shelter, and each ID card has 10 initial points. 1 point can buy a low-level nutritious meal, that is to say, if you eat frugally, this is equivalent to 3 days of meals. Afterwards, they need to find their own way out. However, the Star Shield Refuge is in the expansion stage, and there is a considerable shortage of labor, so I am not worried about finding a job. After Lin Xinghai and others received their ID cards, they were uniformly assigned to room 301 in Building D. It is worth mentioning that when several people applied for the same dormitory, the registrar's expression was not ordinary. However, he did not deliberately find fault, and after confirming that the women were all willing, he arranged it directly. Oh my God, this is too simple. Pushing open the door of the 301 dormitory, the girls couldn't help exclaiming after turning around. The entire dormitory has only 3 iron-framed beds, which are bunk beds. As for the electrical appliances, there is only one energy-saving light bulb, not even an electric fan. In addition, there is no bathroom in the dormitory, not even a faucet. There are only 2 public toilets and a faucet on the entire floor. Moreover, the faucet also needs to swipe the ID card to get the water, and 3 points a bucket of water. This is also the reason why Lin Xinghai saw so many people not taking a bath on the road. This water is not ordinary. Fortunately, the top of the shelter is not so cruel, at least they are provided with necessities such as bedding. After a few women simply tidied up their beds, they complained about what to do in the future. According to the description on this piece of paper, we must find a job within 2 days, but the positions listed above are too few suitable for our women. Lu Miaomiao took the paper handed out by Ji Yuan, said sadly. The above is not a mixture factory or a garment factory. I don't want to go to those positions. On the way here, I saw many shops that seem to be recruiting salesmen. Why don't we go and have a look? Wang Yao also said at this time. Arrive. Don't you pay attention to the salary? I don't want to have enough points for bathing. Qin Zixue was the one who spoke this time. She should be the cleanest among them. Several women were talking about their opinions, while Lin Xinghai watched quietly, Yu reading www.yuukangshu.com. At this moment, he was very fortunate that he had joined the sky-splitting mercenary group. Suddenly, Shanime, who was standing at the door of the room, let out a light sigh. Did something happen outside? Why is it so noisy? As she said that, she opened the door and walked out. Lin Xinghai's face could not help but show curiosity at this time. Because his ears are the best in the field, in addition to the quarrel, he also heard the sound of fighting. Soon, Shanime came back with a hint of panic on her face. Ime, what's wrong? Lu Miaomiao asked immediately. Some people charge protection fees. They are a group of guys who call themselves the Axe Gang. They are very good at fighting. I saw a thin young man who knocked down a strong man weighing more than 200 pounds with one punch. Shanime said in a trembling voice. What? What about the security team? They just sit back and ignore it. Lu Miaomiao said in surprise. Lin Xinghai came to the window, glanced at the street below, and said, the security team has left, and the population in the lower area is so dense, it is estimated that they are powerless to manage. He also heard Roger mention these things. There are indeed many groups of small gangsters in the lower district. Therefore, the lower-level area carried out several major rectifications, and these gangsters were arrested and sent to labor camps, but they were released after serving their sentences. In addition, under normal circumstances, they are more measured in what they do, and they never kill people, and they do not persecute ordinary people too much. Therefore, in most cases, it is not caught by members of the security team, and there is nothing to do with them afterwards. Over time, the current situation has been formed. Lin Xinghai didn't expect to encounter such a thing on the first day he came to the Star Shield Refuge. I am invincible from the end of the world. Chapter 8, First Shot. When the girls heard Lin Xinghai say that after the members of the security team had left, their faces turned pale, and they all looked at Lin Xinghai. After all, the reason why they asked Lin Xinghai to be this roommate was to seek shelter at this moment. And Lin Xinghai also fell into contemplation. He was not afraid of the so-called Axe Gang. No matter how much these little gangsters can fight, their strength is limited. If they have the ability to challenge genetic optimizers, who would want to stay in Xiaoqing as gangsters? Therefore, according to Lin Xinghai's estimation, as long as the number of these gangsters who come here is not too many, he has the confidence to win. But the problem is, he is not sure if he wants to make a move. After all, when he is finished, he can leave by patting his butt. But Lu Miaomiao and the others are expected to live here for a long time. How much protection fee do they charge? Lin Xinghai asked after pondering for a while. 1 month, 3 points. Shanime replied. When the girls heard it, they all breathed a sigh of relief, and Lu Miaomiao gave the other party a direct glance. Ime, you should have said it clearly from the beginning. It's not unacceptable if there are 3 points in a month. After all, it's better to have less than one thing. Lu Miaomiao kept paying attention to Lin Xinghai's expression when she said this. She was most afraid of Lin Xinghai's stubbornness, and she would not pay the protection fee if she died, and she had a conflict with the people from the Axe Gang. At that time, let's not say whether we can win or not. Even if we can win, it is estimated that there will be troubles in the future. Lin Xinghai did not object, and even the expression on his face was still so calm. This made Lu Miaomiao quite surprised. In her impression, the other party was not so easy to talk to. Lin Xinghai did not express his position, and the girls quickly reached a unified opinion. Next, there was a little anxious waiting, everyone could hear it, the noise was getting louder and closer, and occasionally there were quarrels and punches and kicks in the sound. Obviously, it was still constant. Someone tried to resist. But these resistances are doomed to be futile, because the noise has come to their door. Bang bang bang. The door was kicked, the dilapidated door was shaking violently, and the door bolt was creaking, making people suspect that it would be kicked off the next moment. This scene made Lin Xinghai frown, but he still didn't say anything. Shanime, who was closest to the door, opened the door, and the door was immediately kicked open by someone outside. 5 young men with dyed hair and axe tattoos on their arms walked in scoldingly, "Are you courting death? The door is so slow to open, I don't know about us." The young man at the head lowered his voice after scolding, his eyes swept over Lu Miaomiao and others, and his eyes gradually became hot and greedy. Not only him, but also several gangsters who followed up with similar eyes. In the lower-level area, beautiful women are definitely quite rare. Especially Lu Miaomiao and Wang Yao, one has excellent appearance and temperament, and the other has a hot body. Anyone can make these gangsters unable to take their eyes off. Cough. The thug in the lead looked at it for a while before he finally regained his senses. He coughed lightly, pretending to be polite, and said, "Ladies, I'm here to collect protection fees. 5 points. What? 5 points per person? Isn't it 3 points? Lu Miaomiao said repeatedly, her face becoming a little ugly. She had already felt something wrong. The headed gangster smiled, the average person is 3 points, but a few are beautiful women. It's not easy to protect you. The protection fee is higher, which is not too much. Of course, if you feel that your money is tight and you can't get so many points for the time being, you can actually pay for it in other ways." When he said this, his eyes were constantly aiming at some sensitive parts of Lu Miaomiao's body. Go, the meaning of which is self-evident. The rest of the gangsters also had wicked smiles on their faces. This time, the expressions of Lu Miaomiao and others really changed, which was completely beyond their expectations. When this matter developed to such a point, Lin Xinghai knew that he had to take action, so he stepped forward and stood in front of several women. Before standing up, he had used the exploration technique on the gang headed by him. Name, Wang Dumao. Constitution, 15 points. Strength, 19 points. Speed, 11 o'clock. Degree of genetic optimization, 19%. Seeing such an attribute of the other party, Lin Xinghai was determined that he could play 5 at a time. 5 points per person, right? Lin Xinghai asked indifferently, his eyes a little cold. At this time, the 5 gangsters discovered that there was actually a man in this dormitory, and instantly there was jealousy in their eyes. This kind of benefit, it is estimated that any man will be jealous when he sees it. Sorry, the price has gone up now, 10 points per person. The gangster-headed said with a sarcastic smile on the corner of his mouth. Okay. 10 points per person, give it to me. Lin Xinghai stretched out his palm. From the gazes of these gangsters and the constant scrutiny of the women, he knew that this matter could no longer be good. Of course, if he took out the mercenary badge now, these gangsters should retire. But this is very uncomfortable. My backstage is bigger than the other party, UU reading www.uukanshu.com is stronger than the other party, and they have stepped on their faces. If they just let the other party retreat, they will be too sorry for their golden fingers. What's more, he is short of money. These gangsters received so much protection fee, he was quite envious. Cough. I'm upholding justice. Lin Xinghai found a glorious reason for himself in the center. As for Wang Dumao and the others, when they heard Lin Xinghai say this, they looked at him like a fool. Even Lu Miaomiao was not optimistic that Lin Xinghai would be able to defeat the people in front of him. In addition to what Shanime described, these yellow-haired youths were able to knock down 200-pound strong men with one punch, but they also learned about the existence of genetic optimizers from the papers distributed by Ji Yuan. Lin Xinghai. Lu Miaomiao shouted nervously. Don't worry, it's okay. Lin Xinghai smiled slightly, his expression relaxed, as if he didn't take these gangsters as a threat at all. But you're in my way. Wang Dumao's eyes flashed fiercely, and then he punched Lin Xinghai in the head. How could he tolerate a new, white pig, who acted so forcefully in front of him? It's so slow. Lin Xinghai just turned to one side and dodged Wang Dumao's punch. At his speed of 26 points, it was impossible for the opponent's fist to touch him. What? The punch failed, and Wang Dumao's pupils shrank slightly. However, before he could react, Lin Xinghai's counterattack came. It was also a punch, but Wang Dumao couldn't dodge at all, and received a solid punch in the chest. Boom! The dull crash sounded. Wang Dumao felt his chest, as if being hit by a giant hammer, and his body retreated again and again, until he knocked over a companion, and it was difficult to stabilize his body. I am invincible from the end of the world. Chapter 9, Destroy. The sudden scene stunned everyone. Lu Miaomiao's red lips parted slightly, and her face was full of excitement in addition to surprise. Wang Yao, Shanime, and others even directly applauded and celebrated. They never thought that Lin Xinghai could fight so well, and he really deserved to be the provincial Sonda champion. As for Wang Dumao and other gangsters, the expressions on their faces were stunned and sluggish. What a joke, this just subverts their outlook on life, okay? Is this still a white pig from a small shelter? However, Lin Xinghai, who was the party involved, frowned slightly. My strength is really too weak. His overall strength was a lot stronger than the opponent, but the opponent was punched hard by himself. Although it was very embarrassing, it was not even a serious injury, let alone wanting to knock the opponent down with a punch. If Wang Dumao knew what Lin Xinghai was thinking, he would probably vomit blood. Because with just one punch, the ribs in his chest were almost broken, and what was even more terrifying was that the opponent was the most difficult type of speed. The idea is tricky, let's go together. After standing firm, Wang Dumao shouted loudly, using more and less to limit the opponent's speed. This is the only way they could win. However, Lin Xinghai was the first to act. He stepped forward with a single stride and continued to punch unceremoniously. This time, in order to maximize the damage, he attacked the opponent's head. With the preparation of Wang Dumao, although he could see Lin Xinghai's movements clearly, the speed between the two was too far apart. He saw that Lin Xinghai's fist was hit from the left, but when he made the block move, Lin Xinghai's fist had already been changed to the right. Boom! The fist slammed directly on Wang Dumao's face. The opponent's cheek was instantly twisted and deformed, and several teeth were spat out of his mouth. The head was hit hard, and Wang Dumao's consciousness was blurred for a moment, but the severe pain from his abdomen instantly made him awake. Because Lin Xinghai, who was bullying himself, hit the opponent's lower abdomen with a knee after he punched. The strength of the legs is not comparable to that of the hands. This knee hit directly pushed Wang Dumao half a meter off the ground. When he landed, the whole person had already bent into a shrimp, twitching on the ground, and completely lost his fighting power. Lin Xinghai's movements were too fast. Wang Dumao fell to the ground, and the gangsters just surrounded him. However, they fell faster. Lin Xinghai either elbowed or kicked his legs, directly hitting the enemy's weak underbelly. Every attack was so natural and just right. In just 10 seconds, the battle was over, and the 5 thugs all lay on the ground and groaned. This time, not only Lu Miaomiao and others were shocked, but the onlookers were shocked. Even Lin Xinghai himself was shocked. Because of the series of attacks just now, every move and every style is so smooth. This is not something that can be brought about by improving physical fitness. Soon, Lin Xinghai had a clear understanding in his heart. The reason why he was able to defeat these gangsters so neatly was not only because of his own attributes, but also because this body was a provincial Sonda champion. For the predecessor to have such achievements, years of fighting training are essential, so when fighting, the body has long had a fighting instinct. After thinking about this, Lin Xinghai couldn't help but bring up a smile, which was undoubtedly good news. He squatted down, looked at the gangsters who were humming and rolling on the ground, stretched out his palm, and said indifferently, "Points." Although Wang Damao and the others were very unwilling and couldn't even believe what had happened, they all had to reach into their arms and take out their ID cards. "How does this thing transfer points?" Lin Xinghai asked after playing with the ID card in his hand. "I know." Shanime picked up the money transfer machine that had fallen to the side, then asked Lin Xinghai for his ID card, and started to fiddle. "Brother Lin, how many points do you transfer?" Shanime asked. "All." Lin Xinghai spit out 2 words calmly. Wang Damao and the others listened, their breathing suddenly became rapid, and their fists couldn't help clenching, but they didn't dare to say a word. After Shanime stayed for a while, she didn't hesitate, and hurriedly started the operation, and she quickly said, "Brother Lin has done it, the 5 cards add up to a total of 320 points, including your original 10 points, there are 330 points in total." Hearing that there were 330 points, Lin Xinghai smiled and took over the ID card. "Can we go?" Wang Damao asked vaguely, covering his mouth. Lin Xinghai smiled and said coldly, "I know what you are thinking, but there are some things, I hope you better think about it before you do it." As he spoke, he took out a badge and shook it in front of these people. The eyes of several gangsters could not help shrinking. Of course they knew that this was the badge of a mercenary. "You can get out," Lin Xinghai said with satisfaction after seeing the expressions of several people. With permission, several people got up from the ground and rushed out of the door in embarrassment. However, when a few people went out, Lin Xinghai saw the unwillingness, anger and a trace of resentment in their eyes. This made him frown. Although it was only a few thugs, it was not a good thing to be hated. But he doesn't have a good way now. If he fights in the shelter, the security team may be able to turn a blind eye. But if there is a human life, it will definitely be thoroughly investigated, which is also one of the bottom lines in the shelter. You still need to improve your strength, and your own strength is the most fundamental. Lin Xinghai whispered softly. But he didn't regret his shot today. Some people will get ahead if you back down. Moreover, he has a system by his side, and improves his strength faster than anyone else. At that time, it will not be these people who are looking for trouble, but will be looking for them by himself. A few gangsters have more than 300 points, how many points does the entire Axe gang have? Just thinking about it makes me a little excited. When he was thinking about this, Lu Miao Miao and others cheered for a long time, and even other people watching outside also cheered, even those who were blackmailed for points. After all, Lin Xinghai was able to avenge them. It took more than 10 minutes for the crowd to disperse. Lu Miao Miao and others also closed the door and rediscussed about finding a job. This incident has taught them a very profound lesson. Even if they are in the shelter and have no strength, they cannot do it. Therefore, their eyes were involuntarily fixed on the genetic medicine described on the paper issued by Ji Yuan. However, the genetic medicine is too expensive for them, and it takes 300 points to buy a bottle. Therefore, their original plan has to be changed, and even if it is a little harder, they have to find a high-paying job. Of course, if you join the army or mercenary group, you only need 100 points to buy a bottle of genetic medicine. However, even with such incentives, few people in the shelter would make such a choice. Because these two are high-risk industries, many times they have points, and they have no life to spend. Lu Miao Miao and the others discussed it for an hour before finally making a decision, and then went out. During this process, several women would occasionally ask Lin Xinghai's opinion, and the enthusiasm of his attitude made Lin Xinghai feel a little unbearable. Especially Wang Yao, with a hot body, always likes to provoke him in a detached way. If he changed to a quiet and private environment, he might really give this goblin a rectification on the spot. Lin Xinghai endured being provoked, and at the same time gave some substantive opinions, asking them to try their best to win the work of the shelter agency. These jobs generally have high wages. Of course, more importantly, this can implicitly increase some security. If Wang Dumao's gangsters harassed him again, he would have some scruples. After all, he couldn't protect a few girls all the time. When Lu Miaomiao and others left, Lin Xinghai couldn't wait to take out a bottle of genetic medicine after closing the door. No matter what the consideration, he wanted to become a genetic optimizer as soon as possible. I am invincible from the end of the world. Chapter 10, Awakened Choice. I hope this genetic medicine won't let me down. As he spoke, he raised his head and poured all the light green medicine in the bottle into his mouth. These light green liquids are cool to the touch, but they are extremely hot in the mouth, as if a fire is going to enter the stomach down the throat. Ding! Detected special energy in the body. Is it converted into the power of blood? Looking at the system message that popped up, Lin Xinghai was startled at first, and then his face showed joy. Without hesitation, he chose to be sure. The burning feeling disappeared in an instant, and Lin Xinghai immediately opened the system panel to check. The power of blood has changed from 0 to 5. This suddenly made Lin Xinghai smile even more. Although he knew that the system was powerful, he didn't expect it to be so powerful. A bottle of genetic medicine is converted into 5 points of blood energy, which is perfect absorption. According to the information obtained by Roger, the effect of absorbing the genetic medicine will be different depending on the genetic evaluation level. A person with a genetic rating of A can directly increase the degree of genetic optimization by 5% by absorbing a bottle of genetic medicine. If it is a B level, it can only increase by 4%, C level 3%, D level 2%, E level 1%, as for F grade is only 0.5%. Of course, these improvements are the effects of taking the genetic medicine for the first time. With the higher the degree of genetic optimization, the effect of genetic medicine will continue to decrease. Although Lin Xinghai's own genetic evaluation is B level, with the system and the utilization rate of genetic medicine, he can fully reach the level of A level. Of course, the most important thing is not the utilization rate, but the speed of absorption. Even if it is a person with A-level genetic assessment, it will take a day to absorb a bottle of genetic medicine. But he is different. Lin Xinghai clicked twice on the system panel. While consuming 4 points of blood energy, his genetic optimization level has increased from 26% to 28%. This is simply cheating. Lin Xinghai grinned, took out the remaining 3 bottles of genetic medicine without hesitation, and drank them one by one. Soon these genetic medicines were all transformed into the power of blood energy. Looking at the 16 points of blood energy on the system panel, Lin Xinghai licked his lips. I don't know what it would be like to be a genetic optimizer. It took another 2 points of blood energy, and the genetic optimization level reached 29%. However, when he clicked the plus sign again, the system did not directly improve his strength this time. Instead, a prompt box popped up with 2 options. One is direct promotion, and the other is awakening ability promotion. The fool knows how to choose. He clicked the awakening ability promotion without hesitation, and at the same time, he was looking forward to what kind of ability he would have. However, to his disappointment, after making the selection, a new prompt box popped up, and there were still 4 choices on it. Consume 30 blood energy to awaken the power. Consume 60 blood energy to awaken the power. Consume 90 blood energy to awaken the power. Consume 100 blood energy to awaken the power. Note, the more blood energy is consumed, the stronger the awakening ability. Although there are 4 options, in Lin Xinghai's view, there is only one. He is a traverser with a system. If he can't walk out an invincible road, then he will live in vain. But with 100 points of blood energy, it hurts to think about it. He glanced at his system panel. Host, Lin Xinghai. Constitution, 24 points. Strength, 20 points. Speed, 29 points. Blood power, 14 points. Degree of genetic optimization, 29% plus. It seems that we can only wait for the mercenary group mission to find a way. Looking at the remaining 14 points of blood energy, Lin Xinghai sighed softly. The 4 bottles of genetic medicine have been digested, so of course Lin Xinghai couldn't stay here any longer, and he also went out. After all, as an ancient man, he may not know the principles or even how to use those advanced future technological products. But at least it should be clear, what the is that? When Lin Xinghai went out, Wang Damao and the others just came out of the medical center. Brother Wang, this primary medical cabin is really bad. I slept in it for an hour, and my chest is still aching. A gangster named Meng Qing said with a grin. Wang Damao glanced at him, and said angrily, "Don't you think I don't want to choose the intermediate medical cabin? Why don't my teeth grow out yet? But 100 points once, you will pay for it." Meng Qing was silent for a while. The medical expenses this time were all temporarily borrowed by them. "Brother Wang, what should we do next?" After a moment of silence, Meng Qing said again. Wang Damao's eyes narrowed slightly, and there was a hint of ruthlessness in his eyes. "We can't just forget about it. The genetic optimization level of the other party is estimated to be around 25%. This kind of strength may be very strong in Xiaoqing district, but in our Axe gang, there are no such masters." The eyes of the little gangsters lit up when they heard it, but soon, they thought of another very important thing. "Brother Wang, in addition to being strong, the other party is also a mercenary. Is the helper really willing to trouble us with a mercenary?" Meng Qing said. "I just thought about it carefully. The style of the other party's mercenary badge is only the badge of the first-level mercenary group, and our Axe gang is not without background. Of course you're right. Whether the gang leader is willing to help us, this is a question, so we need some chips. Wang Damao said sideways. Lu Miao Miao and these beauties are the best bargaining chips in his hand. These few words are not just words, but if they are used well, they can completely kill people. After the few thugs thought about it, Yu reading www.yuyukeangshu.com immediately began to flatter, praising this method as good. Although those beauties, they can't continue to meddle, but at least this revenge can be avenged. Let's go, find the black rat, let's make some preparations first. Half an hour later, in a seemingly dilapidated factory building in the East District, many people came in and out, and without exception, all of them had an axe tattoo on their arms. Obviously, this is the home of the Axe gang. In the depths of the factory building, there was a luxuriously decorated room, where Wang Damao respectfully reported to a middle-aged man. This middle-aged man is not tall, even looks a little thin, and the expression on his face is quite peaceful, but his eyes that were often squinted at that time gave people a gloomy feeling. He is the current leader of the Axe gang, Huaifei Axe. After Wang Damao's report was finished, he asked indifferently, "So, you went to collect the protection fee, but were beaten back by the white pig?" Although Huaifei Axe's tone was calm during the question, Wang Damao's forehead could not help oozing sweat. Because he is very clear that this person in front of him not only has the strength close to a genetic optimizer, but more importantly, he only sat in this position after he killed the former gang leader and deputy gang leader. People fear. Back to the gang leader, the other party has a mercenary badge, so it really can't be regarded as a white pig in the normal sense. Wang Damao replied nervously. Huaifei Axe stared at Wang Damao in front of him for a long time, until the other party felt his legs were a little weak, then he nodded, and then changed the conversation and asked, "You just touted room 301, there are 5 beauties, how do they look like? Are there any specific photos or videos?" Wang Damao's face lit up when he heard it. "The show is coming.